So talk to us a little bit about that. You beat Pius earlier in the season at Pius, and that night the Broncos were red hot, and a little bit different this game here, but you still came away with the championship. Talk a little bit about
to shoot like we did in January, but we knew the chances of that weren't going to happen. And like I said, it was a good grind game. I think this state tournament kind of showed the type of team those girls, my girls were. A lot of people call us up and down trying to score as many points as possible, and which we wanted to do. We'd love to be in the 70s and 80s, but this state tournament kind of showed that we could be a grind out team. Our quarterfinal against Valencia was a grind out game. Gallup, even though we scored in the 60s, it's still fifth time playing them. It's a grind out game. And then obviously St. Pius, we had to grind another one out. So I thought our girls displayed that we were multi-dimensional. We could play up and down. We could play in the slope. I'd like to see us face each other as much as possible when it comes to the state playoff, because like I said, both communities from Gallup and Kirtland, and even the surrounding area of Kirtland and Farmington, all these girls are connected somehow, and they bring in the crowds. And we knew we were gonna see them in the state tournament, or had a possibility. It was just a game sooner than we actually thought it was going to be.
You only lost 3 games all year, to La Cueva by 3, to Farmington by 3, and to Gallup by 1.
Tool for us, because obviously they've been one of the top 5A programs regardless in that class for the last 5, 7, 8 years. So when we went down and played them, we got down early, like 10-2, and then we battled back. We got down 11 in the second half, and we finally caught them at the end of the ball game to tie it up. And then they hit you guys. It just allows you guys to kind of reset. It's going to refocus your girls, and sure enough, it did. We played Gallup in that district playoff. We had a very good game that day, and I think after that game, the girls were just on a different mission now, and they knew what was at stake. But like you said, losses, no coach likes to lose, but sometimes losses to Coach Rhodey and her girls, they had pride. They weren't going to let what happened in January happen again, and they played like that. They had a lot of adrenaline going on, and but like I said, I think our girls were tested from those 3 losses to, like, I like to go back to our Page tournament.
Holzman, Cope High School with Jim Murphy, Cliff with Pete Schock. Coach Schock was a great coach at Cliff, and there's more. Eloy Brazil at Cimarron, and wherever he's been, Hot
like
Springs.
Lida, they went
right. So, but I got to say this has to be talked about.
A year, the last 2 years we've played 10 times. That's a lot, and I think Coach McBroom's kind of tired of seeing us all the time, and I'm tired of seeing them 5 times a year too, but it goes back to the good teams have to play the good teams. To be better, you got to play the teams that are going to make you better. If nobody in New Mexico has been to a Kirtland Central Gallup game, I recommend that be on your bucket list if you want to see a sold out, very high intense basketball game. Whenever we go there, whenever they come to our gym,
something the fan really likes. So I think with you and Coach McBroom might say, hey, we're tired of it, but the fans in that area, you mentioned every time you play each other, there's 3,000, 4,000 people in the community watching that game.
Yeah, you got people out standing in line. Doesn't matter what the weather is.
Of the 2023, 2024, Kirtland Central Broncos after these messages on the sports desk.
From behind by Creighton Johnson. 3-on-2 for Sandia. Thomas Adams goes all the way, and he's fouled.
Look out.
5 seconds stolen away by Hernandez. Hornets on the move. Hernandez going to get the shot up, and it goes at the buzzer. Back-to-back buzzer beaters for Highlands.
Looking to find some space. He does. Puts it up with the right hand. No, Steverson
my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot. It's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
Welcome back to the Sports Desk Live on Comcast Channel 26, also streamed on Facebook. I'm your host, Ed Nunez. Our very special guest today, Kirtland Central Girls head coach Devon Manning. His Broncos, the 2024 champions, beating St. Pius 45-33 about 2 weeks ago. So, Coach, we're really glad to have you on. Thanks again for joining. And you've had a lot of success there. And expected, you mentioned the players coming back next year. You expected to have some more success.
Yeah, I've been very blessed. When I first took the job, I had a really good team. A bunch of senior girls, and they were kind of the building block to the success. Even though we were runner-up that year, they were the building block because it was a complete culture change for them. The way we wanted to play, the way we handled things off the court. So I attribute the success we're having now to that team I had in my first year because, again, I still talk to a lot of those girls today, and I'm very grateful for them because all coaches say to be successful, you got to have successful players. And then we've just been on this run, and we've had a bunch of good players come through these last few years. And it's just, I'm fortunate as a coach, I've helped build something here, but again, you got to have really good players to have the success we've had since I've been here. And these girls have been.
They look up to your girls, right? The young girls that are coming up to play look up and they want to be a Bronco. They want to win that state championship. They want to play Gallup. So I think it's a culture of winning that you've established there.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I said, we had an 8th grader this year playing for us, but she always came to our little kids camp. We always have a kids camp in June, and she was there. And we had another 8th grader who was on our JV this year, and she was always at those little kids camp. And I'm sure those little 2nd, 3rd, 4th graders that are coming up, they're kind of looking at these girls and knowing that one day I could be playing in the arena. I could be playing at the pit. I have the opportunity to win a state championship playing. But like I said, it's an experience. I think it's one of the best weeks when it comes to New Mexico. I think it's one of the best ran tournaments in the around surrounding states, whether it's Phoenix, Arizona, Texas, Utah, Colorado. I think state championship week in New Mexico is hard to beat because you got basically the whole state coming together for 1 week. Like I said, I took our girls, even though we played a late game on Tuesday night, that quarterfinal game. I took the girls to 8 a.m. game so they can kind of get a feel of what it sounds like, get used to the buzzer, to get used to the sound of the court, the lights. But like you said, man.
But tell us a little bit about your roster and what made your team. The record speaks for itself. The championship speaks for itself. Talk a little bit about your roster.
I think overall, we had a bunch of really good guards, a lot of good shooters, and attribute that to the unselfishness these girls had. I like Amelia Clowney. She was our senior guard. Like, to me, everyone on the team respected her. She doesn't say a lot. She doesn't show a lot of emotion, but I think all the girls really looked towards her when we were in big ball games, the Gallup games, the Farmingtons, the state championship. They look at her to kind of calm them down. She had big games this year when we played Gallup, when we played Farmington. She's been a starter since she was a sophomore. She probably had over 80 starts in her career. But again, she was capable. I think we began the year with her going for like 24 points in our first game of the year. But the way we played, the up and down style, it suited a lot of our guards. Haley Noki, a sophomore, Zoe, Elena, Allie, those are freshmen and 8th grader that we had. They're all just very talented girls, If it seemed like always 2 or 3 would show up on one night, and when that happened, like, I felt sorry for the other team because you want to try to hone in on from 12 to 7 points. I would say we had about 6 or 7 girls that average 8 to 12 points a ball game, and it's just hard to guard as an opposing coach.
You mentioned that, if you got that many girls averaging that kind of points, defensively, we want to try to stop certain players. And if you got a balance like that, you don't have anybody really averaging 15 or 16 or a dominant score. Instead, you've got 4 or 5 scores. That's tough to stop, as you mentioned to me, Coach. We got about a minute left. Wrapping. Coach Devon Manning, Kirtland Central head girls basketball coach, beat St. Pius 45-33 for the 2024 championship. You're second there as the Broncos coach. We certainly appreciate you joining us today on the Sports Desk.
Hey, thank you so much.
You bet. For producer Alden Iwani, I'm Ed Nunez. We'll see you next week on the Sports Desk.